reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapons with Doghouse Systems. Audible, find your next great read at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and by GoDaddy. Put your website to work while you play.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little...
Hello everyone and welcome to MMO Reporter's annual predictions episode. While the crew is laying on a beach somewhere sipping Mai Tais over the Christmas break, we have decided to pre-record this wonderful predictions episode, going over last year's predictions and talking about our predictions for 2015. I am joined once again, as I was for last year's predictions episode, by none other than the fantastic, amazing writer. I wish I could read Dutch so I could read his wonderful World of Warcraft story that was in the paper today or yesterday, Harry?
Tuesday.
Oh, a couple days ago.
Well, when we record this, Tuesday.
Yes.
I am actually on the beach right now, and I'm not drunk.
You are drunk. As we showed in the last episode, you have no problem with that. And of course, we have someone who absolutely needs no introductions, simply for his lack of pants. We have Leonor. Hi, Leonor. Leonor? Oh, crap. Let's see. What can we do here? Bill, are you there?
I certainly am.
Hi. Oh, no, wait. No, you are now Leonor. Leonor, are you there? Okay, good.
Sorry.
We're good to go.
Just kidding, Leonor. Mostly. Yeah. So I'll be Leonor, sure.
All right, so we have some predictions from last year's to go over and talk about how we did. As always, we will be keeping score and finding out who wins with the most points at the end of it. Here's how it's going to work, guys. We will get 1 point for each correct answer, in the most correct answers in the category. If there is a disagreement, we need full agreement from all three of the members of the panel. Without full agreement, no points are awarded. Agreed?
No.
I'm going to lose so bad here.
Okay, no points are awarded because we didn't all agree. All right.
I like it.
All right, let's get going because we got a lot to talk about. Big winners for 2014. Harry, what did you say were going to be the big winners for 2014?
What I actually said was Destiny, no matter what that document now suggests. I said a big winner would be Destiny.
Oh, that's pretty good. Let's see what else we had here. Leonor, Bill?
Yeah,
Billinor? Billinor.
Billinator.
Billinator. There
okay,
we go.
Billinator I can do.
No,
I
but
like
that's
that
not enough Leonor in there.
Let's
imagine the
just enough.
Terminator without pants, and then we've got Billinator.
In Dutch, this is an interesting choice because billen means ass.
All right, Bill, what was Leonor's
Well,
thoughts?
Leonor made the call that EverQuest Next was going to rule the MMO landscape, and yeah.
2 years too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and my prediction was WildStar. So I think that we have a winner in this category, and that would be Mr. Harry Hall. 1 point for Harry. Yay!
You know, it feels like winning with a C, but yeah, he kind of did win.
He kind of did. But you know what? I do think Destiny was a success. I don't think it was the game even I thought that it was, but I think that it is continuing to be played quite a lot. From what I can see, the Reddit community, some communities out there, podcasts are still going strong. You're not finding quite the quick fall off that we found with WildStar, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't think, because Destiny was also one of my biggest disappointments this year, because it was definitely not what I hoped it would be, just like many other people.
Right.
But for a thoroughly disappointing game, I've played it a lot of hours and enjoyed it.
Exactly. So there we go.
Yeah.
That is our first category now. Big fails. Leonor had suggested.
Leonor suggested WildStar would fail, and surprisingly, I don't think he's too far off the mark.
I think
I'm not quite ready to put them in. I'm not quite ready to put WildStar in the ground yet, but it certainly didn't. When you look at the expectations and what really happened, I think you call that a big fail.
Well, I think that it failed at its goals of size, but I don't think it failed as a game. Right? This isn't a game that, should never have been released. Right?
You know, if they were modest and quiet and said, we're going to make a pretty good MMO, they would have been accurate, because they kind of did. But it was the biggest hyped up thing ever. I mean, no small part because of you, Chris. But
and my lack of playing right now, I can be blunt, is not from lack of enjoyment of the game. It's from burnout. I spent way too much time in that game for the first 3 months, and just burnt myself out on that game.
Yeah. What's one game you didn't burn yourself out on, Chris, that might have been a little bit of a failure?
Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
I think I think you win some points here. But if there's one game that failed this year, I would say Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually with Harry on that one. As much as WildStar didn't meet expectations, Elder Scrolls was
more broken at launch.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think it was a mess. It was an absolute dud. It was a firecracker where the wick burned out.
And I think that the fact that they are revamping their end game so dramatically within the first year really goes to show that it was a gameplay element that was part of the issue, not just like WildStar. It wasn't that the game wasn't fun. It just didn't meet its own hype.
I think you're absolutely right. Elder Scrolls Online has a fundamental flaw in its design. It is a so-so single-player RPG that collided with some outdated MMO notions, and the end result was obviously a design by committee that was puked out into the market with the idea we're going to rule the world because we have the Elder Scrolls name. And it was it was not a fun game to play. WildStar, I had fun. I absolutely had fun playing it.
Yeah, but look at this. Neither has gone to a free-to-play model yet. WildStar or Elder Scrolls, which beats the naysayers, right?
Boy, the clock is ticking on both of them, though, loudly.
Elder Scrolls Online was supposed to be out on consoles 3 months ago. The fact that they haven't launched it yet on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One tells me that either they're retooling it to launch it as a pay-to-play model on the consoles and then switch over to PC as well. That's my theory. That we're going to see a $60 box and microtransactions with full access without subscription.
You don't believe we're waiting to revamp the veteran/champion system story?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
No. All right, what was your big fail?
It's a game that wasn't even released yet. Shrouds of the Avatar. I'm actually still wondering if it's even out yet.
It is not.
It's early access on Steam right now. Does that count for anything?
Mm-mm.
Is that even a half point?
Yeah, it hasn't failed yet. I mean, it didn't even. It's a game I'm still looking forward to because it's Ultima Online 2 actually. So I'm curious about it.
Yeah,
but it hasn't failed. So I failed here miserably.
All right, so I would suggest that I get 1 full point and Leonor gets a half point.
No, don't give Leonor a damn thing.
Okay.
No, agreed.
You nailed the fail, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're the king of fail.
Thank you. So
No one fails like you.
what will eat up most of our time in 2014? I said WildStar. That was definitely the case. The 3 months that I spent in that game put my hours up beyond any other game that I got for the entire year. And I still have spent some time since then. I haven't completely quit the game, but the intense every day and raiding 3 nights a week clocked up the hours like nothing else, plus all the beta stuff beforehand. Easily my winner. Harry, were you correct in your predictions at the start of the year?
Well, yeah, but not because I liked the games I played. My prediction was most of my time would be eaten up by Elder Scrolls Online and WildStar, and since I reviewed both of them, I obviously spent a lot of time in both of those games.
But did you go back after, because I reviewed WildStar as well, did you go back after that?
No.
Right.
So no, but neither of them. So yeah. I would say it's true that I sank a lot of time in them, but I got paid to do them, so I don't know if that counts.
All right, and Bill, what did Leonor say?
He said Lotro's Secret World, and I don't think he was wrong.
No.
Because if we go if we go back and do a tally of the what did we play this week's, I don't know. I feel bad even giving points to this one. That seems like a gimme.
Do we? But since we are both correct in our, does he get a point and I get a point, or just him because he was more on point?
I think we all got a point. I think none of us actually was wrong.
Everybody gets 0.33 of a point. I think we'll make it completely boring and dull.
Everybody gets ice cream.
Yeah,
it's a win-win-win situation.
It's a participation award.
All right.
It's synergy.
Harry, you had, I think there's 2 on here on your what games won't be released in 2014 list, one of which is an absolute home run because the other one is there. You got 3 on your list. One's a joke. And 2 are serious, but one of what won't be released in 2014 was a home run to the point where that baseball ended up in orbit. It was such a home run. Harry, what was your game that spectacularly failed in its ability to release in 2014?
That, of course, was Leisure Suit Larry Looking for Groot, the Leisure Suit Larry MMO. No, I know it was Titan. I said Titan wouldn't come out in 2014. I didn't.
You were right.
I didn't predict the absolute demise of the game. But then again, it evens it all out because the other game I said wouldn't be released in 2014 was Elite Dangerous, and I actually played it yesterday evening.
Yeah.
So let's not dwell too much on my success here.
And Bill, what did Leonor say?
Well, Leonor, I think hit it just about out of the planet as well with predicting that World Darkness wasn't going to come out this year, and he's absolutely correct, and he's absolutely correct eternally as well, sure. As far as I can tell.
You can put that on every prediction for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
I predicted Star Citizen. Now, I would suggest that because my game is actually likely to come out still, but not in 2014, I think I should get the point.
No.
It was never intended to release in 2014. This was basically like saying... I don't know what, like Oculus Rift wouldn't come out in 2014. No, because they didn't say it would.
Well, then 1 point for Harry and Leonor? Or just because Harry was so absolutely wrong about Elite Dangerous, do we give just 1 point for Leonor?
You're right. I don't deserve full points.
Yeah, I'd want to give it to Leonor.
All right.
He was 100% right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then just a quick recap of our expansion of the year for last year. Eve Rubicon won that. What would be, now back onto the points, what would be the dominant elements of MMOs in 2014? Leonor, what did Leonor said?
Leonor said cubes and voxels, which is an interesting choice. I mean, cubes and voxels happened.
I think this was right after the EverQuest Next announcement at SOE Live that summer, where it was all about the voxels.
It kind of influenced all of us, I think.
Yeah. Harry, what do you say?
Dominant is not the word I would use.
Yeah.
It existed.
Yeah.
But I overestimated the impact of creating stuff in games. I thought it would take off like wildfire, and it did in indie games, but not in the MMO space.
I agree.
If you look at indie games, if you look at games like Space Engineer and Minecraft and Terraria and all of those, all are about building, creating, finding stuff, but none in the MMO.
I said the same thing.
You had Trove kind of bubble up to the surface this year, and I mean, Landmark is obviously a building and creating kind of thing.
But is that dominant?
Well,
exactly.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what you think of Landmark. I know I'm going to be mentioning it later in the show, but
I don't think it was a dominant element of
2014.
MMO gaming of 2014.
Right now, Harry is like a half point above Leonor as far as I'm concerned.
I said the same thing too. Adding world building to the game and stuff. What's that?
I think we're all wrong. I think that hasn't.
I think it's a 0. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were right here.
What was dominant then? What happened in MMOs that came out in 2014 that is just a theme that ties them all together?
Disappointment.
Other than sucking.
You know what I think it was, and Harry and I talked about this, it was one more kick at the can. 2014 was the last year. The dominant element that you can look at this is it was the last year where people actually thought they could kill WoW. I don't think that's going to happen again. That was to me the dominant element with ESO, with WildStar. This was the last big AAA games trying to push their way to dominance. You don't like.
Yeah, you could throw arcade into that conversation too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the last wave of games that were whose design started inspired by WoW's success.
Yes.
Do you think it's maybe, and do you think this is the swan song then of the AAA MMO, like the last of the AAA WoW clones, I should say?
I think that's true. I think the industry. Sorry, continue.
If we start to look at 2015 now and what's coming out in 2015, even the big titles, or the titles that look like they're going to be the big titles, they seem a pretty big departure from what have been like anything that could be considered that WoW clone or that direct copy of WoW.
Well, let's talk about that when we talk about our predictions for next year.
Sure.
So I think no points there. I agree with you. Okay. What else is points here? What game could be announced that we haven't heard about yet? I was wrong. No sports-based MMO. Harry?
Fallout MMO was discussed, certainly, but not officially.
And Leonor, a.k.a. Bill.
Yeah, Tron Online did not even catch a whisper, as I recall.
No, it did not. So, no points there. I do believe, what do we have here as a... I've got 1.33. Leonor has 1.33, and Harry has 1.33.
That is the most anticlimactic thing that's ever happened.
It is a tie. That is ridiculous. We've never had a tie before.
That's embarrassing.
Well, I still think I was most right about what will eat up most of my time. I don't think Harry just doing the reviews and that's it.
Just doing the reviews, like,
but I went back to the game after I did the review. You didn't. I spent way more time in WildStar or Elder Scrolls Online.
That wasn't the question. It wasn't about what game did you find more fun. It was what took most of your MMO time.
So you didn't play more Eve than you did either of those?
Yes, but.
Whoa,
discussion.
Hold on. Wait a minute. That's it. You lose those 0.33 points, and
Objection, Your Honor.
I gain those 0.33 points, which means I am the winner.
I guess you could argue that actually that if you're going to get if Harry's going to lose his 0.33, then you and Leonor should have 0.5.
No, I've got 0.66, and Leonor has 0.33.
I guess he's not here to defend himself.
Right.
So this is by default.
I win. We are the champions, my friends. We'll keep on. No.
See, it seems to me that you should have had that.
Year.
All right, I think it is time to move on to this year's predictions. Before that, though, I do want to mention our sponsors, the wonderful, the awesome, the super cool GoDaddy. Go check them out for domains. If you want a $49.com domain, use the coupon code MMO149. And if you're looking for a bigger purchase, just use the coupon code MMO30, and you can get 30% off your entire cart. And, of course, Doghouse Systems. Go to doghousesystems.com/doghousesystems.com. Use the coupon code MMO Reporter, and you will get double your RAM. Woot! Go Doghouse.
Don't you want to repeat that once more?
Doghousesystems.com. Use the coupon code MMO Reporter to double your RAM. Is that good? Are you happy now?
Better. Yeah, I'm happy.
All right, so for this half, we have decided that we are actually going to let Steve be in the room while we're recording. We have never done this before. It is something new that we're trying out for this year. Hopefully it goes well. I do not have high hopes. I don't know about the two of you. But
I'd like to point out this was not a unanimous vote. Just throwing it out there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's talk about this year's prediction, guys.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's more important than anything else.
Agreed. All right, 2015 big winners of the year. Harry, why don't you start?
Well, this is obviously just rose-tinted glasses of me enjoying this game a lot. So, but I'm going to say Elite Dangerous. But I don't know how I would qualify that as a big winner for next year. I can only say that I hope this game does so well as it deserves to.
Okay. Bill.
Well, for me, I'm kind of looking at this as, like I was talking about, there's not the 2015 landscape for MMOs coming out is a little bit bare. In my mind, there's no bigger title coming in like the true MMO arena than EverQuest Next, and Landmark is completely paving the way for EverQuest Next. I'm kind of thinking that this year Landmark gets tons of attention, it grows, it becomes much more sophisticated, and really sets the table for what EverQuest Next is going to be. So I think that Landmark is going to gain all kinds of awareness in the MMO space, and it's going to be the big winner of them all.
Okay, that's a bold prediction. Bold prediction. I'm thinking that Star Citizen is going to be a pretty big winner of the year, mostly riding on its funding momentum. And the amount of players who have put money into that, I think, will give it a bigger player base than Elite Dangerous, which, if things go right, really has the potential to, whether it's a better game or not, outshine Elite Dangerous.
I have one response to that.
Yeah.
If.
Correct. Agreed. This is a big risk putting it on my list, but I think it is. And then this is one that I'm pulling for this game, and that's Trove. I really hope that Trove is a big winner. I don't know if expect is the right word. Hope fits a little bit better. So that's my thoughts for this. We'll have to wait and see until next year's prediction show to see which one of us wins. Big fails. Harry, what's your big fail for 2015?
I have a bad feeling about Star Citizen.
You say that with such, like you're telling me my dogs died or something.
I want this game to succeed. If there's any doubt, it's not like I think Elite should triumph and stars. It's like rising water lifts all ships. So if there are a lot of great space games out there, everybody wins.
Agreed. Did you see Chris Roberts' letter to Elite Dangerous on the launch of their game?
I have not, but I know these guys, Dave Braben and Chris Roberts, have been very collegial and
complimentary of each other's
complimentary.
products.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not saying this out of fanboyism, but I think Star Citizen bit of too much, and I'm very worried about the actual response to actual gameplay next year.
If anybody wants to hear more about that, look at episode 199. We had a long discussion about that. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, it really feels like Star Citizen is kind of peaked early Like, as in,
before
maybe it hasn't
launched.
peaked quite yet, but I feel like it's going to peak before it ever actually has a real product out there. And that's going to be a big problem for it. I don't know. I hope not. I hope it's as epic and awesome as all the hype that it's built up makes it. But, it's...
And I was talking to someone, and I'm not going to say which game or which PR company or anything like that, but I was talking to someone in 2014 about some of the biggest challenges that face them in their job, and they said it is managing the peak of when the hype peaks, and that is, I think, maybe something that Star Citizen has not done as well as it could, because when you crowdsource, you need to peak twice. You need to peak in your crowdfunding and then right before launch. But this one person was talking about just the challenge working on their particular game and making sure that the peak happened at the right time. Whether it did or not, I'm not going to say for them. So we'll see how that goes for Star Citizen. It definitely feels like it's peaked too early.
But I hope I'm wrong. Be clear. I want this game to succeed because its ambition is beautiful.
Yeah.
Bill, what about you?
For me, I almost want to say 2015 entirely because there's so little on the scape that's actually exciting for me. Civilization Online is a game it's gaining traction. It's got a big publisher. It's obviously got a big brand attached to it, and it just looks like a complete mess. I don't understand how anyone thinks this is a good idea. So I'm pretty sure that if Civ Online actually does happen next year, it's going to be with a disappointing splat on the pavement.
Yeah, that's definitely potential.
But it's one of those weird things. Because Civilization Online has nothing to do with civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's such a weird license to use for a game like this. I would have, for an Age of Empires game, would be more fitting than the Civilization one for this.
Yep, I agree, 100%. I agree. It's a weird juxtaposition of a game. Like you can't play Civilization when you're a guy. And that's,
exactly.
Yeah. And that's what Civilization is, or Civilization Online looks like it's gonna be. You're a guy building a civilization. No, that's not how it works.
You're not even a guy building a civilization. You're a guy probably building a house in a civilization. You're one of the worker units.
Yeah, which you don't even ever see in Civilization. Or you see,
that's not true.
They're there, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's like making a game based on the extras of a blockbuster movie.
All right, and to end this category, I'm taking a cop out. I know I'm risking points next year, but for me, the big fail of 2015 is the lack of the big traditional MMO, which I love. I really like that category, and to me, that's a big fail. And I'm going to say that if EverQuest Next / Landmark is the only big AAA traditional air quote traditional MMO that comes out, then, and even then it's not traditional. But then I think that's a fail because we're missing out. We're losing part of the genre.
I think the genre of MMOs is being absorbed by other genres, and I think we're seeing. But I don't think MMOs will go away, and industry is cyclical. I mean, if space games can make their comeback after 20 years, I don't think MMOs will be. I don't think that we still want these shared virtual worlds. I just think they will be more advanced and less recognizable as a World of Warcraft clone.
I am going to come back to this later in the show because I've got a point, and I don't entirely agree with you, Harry.
Okay, I'm very curious.
Okay. All right, we do have some listener predictions. I think that's really cool this year that our community jumped in and helped us out with this. From Dibstaru, I hope I said that right. said there will be angst predictions, trolling shutdowns, layoffs, and patches, but still no sandbox as good as Star Wars Galaxies.
Aww.
I think there's a little sadness in there. A little sadness. From Baltarex, thinks that there's going to be a heavy drop-off in WoW. Others will gain. Cycle repeats over and over, like you were saying, Harry. And oh yeah, No Man's Sky happens and is awesome.
It will be an awesome indie game that will not be a competitor to Elite or Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Don't think it's Elite. It's different.
It's an adventure game, not a space sim game.
Yeah.
And at Anres, Wildstar sees a small resurgence. Yay! Camelot Unchained sees some buzz. Yay! WoW keeps above 9 million. Esports continues a mainstream climb.
A very obvious no yay for WoW from you.
Well, it's you can't even cheer for WoW anymore. I mean, they've already won. It's like piling on if you cheer for WoW when the game is over.
It's a fact of life. It just is.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And moving along, what will eat up most of your time in 2015? Bill.
This is easy. Guild Wars 2.
Okay, Harry.
Guild Wars 2 is going to be 3 years old next year. It's good, and I don't think an MMO has come out that's better than Guild Wars 2 since then. So I will happily keep going back.
Harry, what do you say?
I think based on it's the Dr. Phil approach of prediction. Look at past behavior to predict future behavior. So that would be Kerbal Space Program, which will probably be a full release in 2015. I will sink so many hours in that. Elite Dangerous is not going to go away. I will have my EVE Online 3-month horrible addiction, and that's my pattern. 3 months of EVE, and then I'll just lay on the ground exhausted, recuperating for the rest of the year. And Planetside 2, I have high hopes for that one because it's coming to PlayStation 4, and I want to play this game on the console. I've not even played a second of it on the PC yet. I have not played Planetside 2, so this is my going out on a limb. I think I will like this game on PlayStation 4 and play the hell out of it.
Awesome. As for me, I'm saying WoW and Elite Dangerous. I think, although I think Star Citizen is going to be a big hit, I'm really liking the universe in Elite Dangerous.
It's an acquired taste.
It is.
And I don't mean to criticize, but it feels nearsighted because that's exactly what you're playing right now.
Yes. A little bit. Hey, Bill, what did you play yesterday?
I played deploy operating systems to computers that were being general bitches.
Okay,
but
what's the last game? What's the game you've played most in the last week? Guild Wars 2, maybe?
Actually, yes.
There you go.
In the last week.
Isn't that a little short-sighted? No. Okay, games that won't be released in 2015. I'm saying EverQuest next. I don't think we're going to see that in 2015. I think.
In other news, water wet.
Bill.
Well, and to my sadness, Camelot Unleashed has a target release of late 2015, which I think is a translation for see you in spring 2016.
That is probably a very wise thought, very wise way to think,
and very depressing.
Yeah, it's okay.
You want games to release late, not early.
Yep. Yeah. Harry, what's your thoughts?
I checked some lists to see what came out, what was supposed to come out in 2015, and Warhammer 40k keeps cropping up in lists, and I still don't think it will be there. So Warhammer 40k or any variation of that will not be seen in 2015.
I agree with you. All right.
The one optimistic thing about this whole category is 2016 is looking good.
Looking
already.
good.
The year of the WoW killer.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right.
And Linux on the desktop. Oh, wait. That's a whole other thing.
Speaking of which, we had some expansions released this year: Rift's Nightmare Tide, WoW's Warlords of Draenor, among other things.
We will not fight here, guys. Before we start this category, I want us to remember the friendship and all we shared, and let's just be. If we disagree, let's agree to disagree. Okay?
Nope. Free for all.
I'm getting ready for a conflict here,
Yep, conflict.
but at the end of it, I love you guys platonically, of course.
Oh heck! Where's my gun?
Bill, expansion of the year 2014. Go.
Oh jeez, it's Warlords of Draenor, and it's not even close. Like it's embarrassing to think that that anybody would even have an argument about this.
Bill, Harry, come on, save us here, Harry.
Well, I obviously don't agree with Bill because I think the MMO expansion of the year is Warlords of Draenor.
Crap. Oh,
emphasis
crap.
on the A, I see.
Yeah.
You too. I mean, there's so many MMOs out there. So many great things that happen, for example, in Rift, Nightmare Tide. I mean, you can literally swim out of a wall of water and fall. It's a vertical wall of water, nothing holding it in place. Magic. We're in the plane of water.
Chris, what is your MMO expansion of the year?
Warlords of Draenor. Yeah, that expansion kind of killed it. It really did. The story just dragged me in more than any other time. Even I thought, for me at least, the story that was the next strongest was all the Arthas stuff in Wrath of the Lich King. I mean, that whole storyline grabbed me through that. But this one, wow. The use of their UI to help you get some visual cues as to who is who, because that's always my problem, is figuring out who's who when they're going through those mini cinematics in game. And then hello garrisons.
Well, and the game feels. I think the big thing is that it took World of Warcraft and it modernized it a lot. Like I remember looking at Pandaria and looking at Cataclysm even, and WoW looked like an MMO that was long in the tooth compared to the other things that were out there. WoW felt old. This time around, it doesn't. Like the graphical refresh, I don't think it wasn't world beating. I don't think we're talking like cutting edge graphics here or anything like that. But it was enough to make it relevant and modern and kind of re-spark. It doesn't make you think of WoW as an old game anymore.
Well, that's the point I made in my feature article for the newspaper. That oddly enough, I think World of Warcraft has matured in the sense that it kind of keeps pace with my life. Like I'm now 41, have a job, a relationship, a house, have to deal with all kinds of responsibilities, and World of Warcraft is now streamlined and tuned to a adult lifestyle, if you know what I mean.
I just had a thought. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Please spout your thoughts.
Here's my thought. Is Blizzard the J.K. Rowling of our generation? Did they make World of Warcraft for our age group and screw everyone else?
I do have the feeling they grew that when the pandas arrived and when the whole thing, people started saying it was childish. But the one thing I noticed is that those guys at Blizzard want to enjoy their own games, and they get older as well. And if you get older, you don't care what other people think of you anymore. At least that's for me. I mean, I do not feel embarrassed to be seen in public playing on my Vita, unless it's the game that Chris finds so funny. But I mean, I don't care. I mean, and when I was 17, 18, I actually cared about my image. I do not have an image. I don't care. And that's World of Warcraft. It's for people who want to have fun and don't worry about what other people think about their fun.
Hey, I was listening to the latest Happy Hearthstone, and one of the developers said that they're getting to the point now hiring younger people into the Blizzard team that on one of the flavor texts for a Hearthstone card, it references Micro Machines, and the developer had no idea what they were talking about.
Aw.
I know, right?
No, they don't know the Micro Machine Man commercial. That's terrible.
I know. All right, so congratulations to Blizzard and their win on the Warlords of Draenor official MMO Reporter expansion of the year 2014. All right, we've got just a few categories left here. What will be the dominant element of MMOs in 2015? I said MMO-ish elements in non-MMO games. That's what you were talking about earlier, Harry, where these elements that make MMOs so powerful and make them connect with the player are being taken out of the MMO genre and deposited into other games. You can look at things like the gear grind that's in Destiny and semi-shared world that's going on there. That's really, I think, going to become even more prevalent in 2015.
Well, I think the big feature is the sharing of a world, and what an MMO usually, what MMOs promised back in the 80s when the text mods appeared, was this shared universe, and somehow this has mutated into become a deku mod style of gameplay, and we are letting that go, and we will see the fantasy of the shared world, the Ready Player One type experience will be everywhere because the tech is here.
Yeah, and it's not just that too, though, but the fact that once you finish the story, that doesn't mean the game is necessarily done.
No, because
right.
No, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Harry, why don't you go?
Well, I wrote this, but I'm adding one to it as well.
Okay.
I will type later. I think the first thing that dominates is science fiction rather than fantasy, because I think the fantasy hype is over, and the big thing for the coming, I think, 5 years will be science fiction as a setting, and I don't think much will change in how games, because science fiction and fantasy as used in games is usually quite interchangeable. You have a wand rather than a blaster, but I think the appearance of games will be much more techy than medieval, and I think procedurally generated content will be huge.
Okay. That's interesting.
So procedural, when you say procedural content, you mean basically the world growing on its own without necessarily like chunks of content that are handed out as patches or anything like that. But the game you're playing growing around you based on how you play.
I think the scale of games will be. The examples are No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous, but I don't think it will end there. I think, and Minecraft also uses procedurally generated content. I think actually worlds generated from a seed and actual assets generated procedurally will be a much bigger part of gaming in general. I think in MMOs as well. I think so. Because it makes it possible for a smaller team to create more. Mm-hmm. And I think this is, if we're looking at the trends in gaming, I think if AAA MMOs are on the downswing, then smaller teams will still create MMO-like content, and I think they will be using a lot of procedurally generated content to fill their worlds.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I might be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong before. We have a T-shirt, but that's
once, yeah.
This is kind of this coming from a theory. I mean, it's a game I played yesterday, so it must be a prediction.
All right, and Bill.
Well, the big thing. Well, firstly, I wanted to say too that I think Harry's actually might be onto something there too with the whole sci-fi thing, because we got to realize too there's a Star Wars bubble coming, so that's just going to happen. So we'll put that in there. But I think the thing or the trend that we're probably going to be seeing this year, in light of the dearth of AAA titles, is that there's room for the indie developers, the kind of the garage developers that are coming out and kickstarting and that kind of thing. Someone is going to fill the space that's being left by the big players not deciding to play in this field this year. So I mean, we talked a little bit about No Man's Sky. There's something in that vein that I think is going to really grab on and flourish this year.
Okay, interesting. yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I think about that.
Well, I don't know what you think.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm so. Maybe part of it is that I'm just so stuck in this idea of wanting these big games that we all play together again. That indie stuff scares me is the wrong word, but I just want something. I want something to come out that just everybody plays. Gosh darn it! I want to play with all my friends, and I want us all to do it together.
I think I've been trying to think about the industry a little bit in almost like a 3, 4, 5 year cycle here in that, and I think MMOs or that type of game in general needs a solid reset. There was too many attempts to make that blockbuster, to make or to replicate the success of World of Warcraft and that kind of thing, and they've obviously none of them have really been a big success at all in any stretch of the word. But I feel like we're almost getting into a space now where there's room for kind of a rest for the industry to kind of sit back for a second, evaluate what people want and what they like to play, and that within the next maybe couple years, 3 years or something like that, there is going to be an opportunity for something great to bubble up to the top and be that super smash hit that we haven't seen for ages.
Well, the great thing is, and this is, don't underestimate the power of indie development. The great thing about that is that those games are created by people who create something they want to play and they think is cool, rather than a couple of guys in a suit looking at their stock options. These are the people who want to experiment. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to make a game about? And then even something quite mundane could be the seed of something great. Yep. And that's where innovation comes from. And you will see great ideas and multiplayer ideas and game systems come from these people that will inevitably be stolen by Blizzard and incorporated in WoW.
Exactly.
Not the first time you said that.
And that's why I'm kind of saying that this year is the best chance for that to not get steamrolled by the 800-pound gorilla that's already there. So that's my prediction. This is the year for that. This is the year of the indie.
It has been the year of the indie for about 5 years now.
Yeah, but this time they're serious.
This time it's different.
Year of the Indie Part 5. This time it's personal. But I love the fact that indie games come out with the most absurd, crazy, great things that sometimes fail and sometimes win. Minecraft started out as one of those itty-bitty little tiny things. How many billions of dollars did Microsoft pay for that?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next category here. Question marks. What can't we quite put our fingers on? Harry, what don't you understand right now about what's getting some hype?
Well, my scroll wheel on my mouse is defective. Never mind.
Thanks for sharing, Harry.
Keep clicking away. It's Landmark. It should have come out last year. I think it's not going to make the big splash that we hope it will, and I also think it will be overshadowed by its own competitor, which would be EverQuest Next. I have a hard time. The more I remember my time with it, I have a hard time seeing this take off as much as it should. It's too complicated. It asks too much creativity, and it doesn't. I still don't see that there is gameplay that will get the non-creative types in there to have a good adventure time.
Okay. Bill, what about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, it's sort of cheesy. The whole of 2015 seems really hard to peg down because there's no focus or anything like that. I'm going to pick an actual game, though, and I'm going to kind of focus on Black Desert here because that's kind of it's one of those Eastern games that is getting a big push into the North American market. And again, it looks pretty. It has some interesting ideas. They're trying to sell it as something sandboxy, but it looks a lot like a rehash of a dozen other games that have really tried to come over from the East, from Korea or China or whatever, that invariably just confuse people over here. I think the closest thing that's come, or that's been a kind of an Eastern import, and I don't really count Final Fantasy 14 as an Eastern import, even though if you want to get technical, it probably should be. I mean, Arcade was kind of that attempt, and it's fallen fairly flat so far this year. So I don't know. Like, I feels like there's so many attempts at this that at some point one is going to kind of stick and be the winner coming from the East. But I don't know. I don't really understand what the draw is or what these games are seeing in the North American market that's the North American market has never really shown any interest in.
Yeah.
It still looks pretty.
It does look pretty.
That is very true. As for me, I'm just still a little bit confused, although this show has helped me narrow that down a little bit as to why there's no real AAA titles looking to come out in 2015 other than Next/Landmark. But this show's helped a lot with that question.
That's what we're here for.
Yep.
To help you with your questions.
That and my counseling. All right. So, it's that time.
Can I bill you by the hour?
And you can't bill me at all. Bill can't bill me. All right. MMO Game of the Year. Harry does not get a vote due to the scandal that is the 2013 Game of the Year.
I was right, damn it.
His vote is demonstrative only.
Yep.
I was right.
I'm going to say, for me, based on the experience that I have had so far, I think that Elite Dangerous is going to be my MMO of the year for 2014. Best launch so far of the year. Incredibly stable game and ecosystem. Just doing fantastically well so far. So I'm going to put my vote out for Elite Dangerous with wildstar in its second place for me. Bill.
Well, for me, I would have said wildstar, but I don't even want to because it's there hasn't really been anything that's come out in 2014 that has excited me. Wildstar is the closest. It's the one that I probably, for what came out in 2014, it's probably what I played the most. That said, I don't miss it. I played it, but it never really charged me up or anything like that.
Yeah.
So there's that. If I looking at hype and everything like that, I've kind of been reading and hearing about Grand Theft Auto 5. It seems to basically, it's a combination of not getting eviscerated in reviews or forums. It's got some durability that it's actually still going, and it didn't get that, or it doesn't feel like it got that, fell off the edge of the earth shortly after it was released. But I don't want to give my award or give my vote to a game that I didn't even play. So I'm going to go with really the only obvious choice, the only one that was a truly excellent game that it had wide appeal for a huge audience. It has a huge number of players playing concurrently at any given moment. It has levels. It's got spells. It's got all it's got some of the core elements of a real MMO. And I'm going to say Hearthstone is my game of 2014.
Okay.
Okay.
I do get a vote, by the way. I insist.
Wait. Before you do that, I think this is the one, the only time where we are going to let Steve pipe up.
Your moment to shine, Steve.
Okay. Harry, are you okay waiting?
Okay.
Okay. Steve, what is your 2014 Game of the Year?
My Game of the Year is Final Fantasy 14. I love cacabos.
Steve, you're fired. Harry.
Okay, I wanted to continue on your Elite Dangerous. I agree that the launch was surprisingly stable. I had nightmares about the launch because I played in the Gamma, and the game quit out on me like 5, 6, 7 times a day. And I felt this game was not ready for release, not ready for prime time. The day comes, they flip the switch, and the game is... I haven't had a crash or a hang-up or a not being able to get out of hyperspace once. It's just been a thoroughly enjoyable game. And the more I play it, the more of the little systems I discover, and the more I realize that this is truly the Elite that I loved back in the 80s.
That's great.
It's a very system-driven game. It's very, very sandbox. It is the game that I wanted it to be. Anything they add from now is just icing on the cake. I'm happy.
Awesome. So
I do want to throw in there that I don't disagree with you guys. I just don't think it's too new. I couldn't throw my vote behind a game that you could still smell the new game smell from the download. I was going to say the game box, but really, who does that anymore?
Oh, I wish. I want a big manual with this. Elite Dangerous, the old Elite had a big fat manual, and
but they're still sweeping up the confetti from the launch party. It's just I wasn't quite ready. Like I could see myself voting for this in 2015. I can't quite see it in 2014. So I don't disagree, but I'm disagreeing on a technicality.
Let me put it this way. This is the only MMO I played this year that didn't give me this twinge in the back of my mind of disappointment or like I'm not going to play this again in a few weeks. When I was playing WildStar, I enjoyed it, but somehow I knew this wasn't going to be the game that I would play at the end of the year. And with Elite, I know I will not play it every day, but just like Kerbal Space Program, this will be the go-to game for me.
So you're saying you didn't get that feeling from Hearthstone?
But that's not really...
You were disappointed in Hearthstone?
Oh. Hearthstone is awesome, and also it was released in 2013, not 14.
Are you sure about that?
No, not anymore. Not if you use that tone of voice on me.
Oh, dang. I'm gonna have
Wasn't
to...
it? I think...
Have I ruined my vote? I thought it was like a March release or something like that.
Oh, gosh, let me think. It was... Oh, God, it was announced. Yeah, no, it wasn't a 2014 release.
March 2014. You are absolutely right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there you go. So I stick by my vote.
So it took nearly a year from announcement to release? Wow. That's March 11th, 2014.
Yeah, it was March 2013 of PAX that they...
announced it, yeah.
Announced PAX East, yeah.
All right, there we go. Congratulations to Elite Dangerous for getting MMO Reporter's Game of the Year 2014, even in such a short time. And I do have to say, for me personally, I do have to add in that I am including my experience in the past few weeks as I've been gaining up to it. Playing for the past few days, I do feel like that game was representative of the game that I'm playing now.
The last few weeks they were. I played since Alpha.
Yeah.
Since Alpha 2. No, Alpha 1 actually. So I've actually played the game when the only thing we had was the combat simulator.
Yeah.
And no, this is not the Elite podcast, but I love this game. Anyway.
All right. We have a winner. And that is our show for the year. Thanks, Bill, for a fantastic... You know, this is the year that you came back to MMO Reporter. You'd taken a break. Life was calling to you, and finally we called, and you answered. So thanks for coming back to the show. It's been a blast.
So basically, I like MMOs better than life. This is what we've learned.
Right, exactly. Harry, this makes, I do believe, 4 years for you on the show.
Holy crap.
I know. That seems absolutely astounding, doesn't it?
This is, yeah. Oh my, no wonder I'm so sleepy all the time.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And of course, Leonor, who's not here tonight, has been an incredible addition to the show as well. So thanks to Leonor out there. And of course, thanks to all of our listeners. This year, for me at least, has been an incredible year with our community that we've built in the game, because I've felt that we've had more interaction coming back at us than we've had in any years in the past. And it's been really, really great for me at least, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that those connections are a wonderful way for us to get acknowledgement is the wrong word, but it fills up the fuel tank for everything that we do when we get all those connections and get to talk about what we love with people who love what we do. Right, guys?
Absolutely.
So thanks everybody for listening to our prediction show for 2015. This is our last show of 2014 that we're going to record. Don't forget to look for the bloopers episode. That's coming up soon.
Oh boy.
We really appreciate you coming out and listening to the show week after week. We hope that you download the podcast for another year, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.